Let me ask you something, and don't answer too quickly. When people talk about oil in Africa, where do they usually start the story from? Corruption, conflict, and resource control, of course. But what if I told you that the very first commercial oil discovered in West Africa happened in a region that was already outdeveloping others in Africa? A region that built universities, industries, and media institutions before oil money was ever mentioned or before it arrived. What if the problem was never oil, but what happened after oil wells were discovered? Today, we are going back to the beginning. No opinions, no vibes. We are going to discuss history. Stay with me, as this one might challenge everything you thought you knew. To understand this story, we have to rewind to colonial and pre-independence Nigeria. Before states were ever created, before geopolitical zones were created, before the Nigeria we know today, Nigeria was divided into regions: northern, western, and eastern region. And the eastern region was doing something unusual in Africa at the time. It was investing heavily on the people. Education wasn't luxury in the eastern region. It was a policy. Community-driven schools, aggressive literacy campaigns, missionary and indigenous education blending into something very powerful. That was the story of the eastern region. By the 1950s, the eastern region of Nigeria had one of the highest literacy rates in sub-Saharan Africa. And this matters because development never starts with resources. It begins with the people. Do you have the human resources to carry out the development? That is where development starts from. Now let's get to the specifics, because facts matter a lot. In January 1956, Shell Darcy struck oil in Oloibiri in today's Bayelsa state. But at the time, Oloibiri was in the eastern region of Nigeria. Fact check that. This wasn't disputed. It wasn't debated. It was administrative reality that Oloibiri is located in eastern region. The first commercial oil discovery in West Africa happened in the eastern region of Nigeria. Today you hear people saying they are coming for our oil. They were the ones who had oil. You don't have oil. Nigeria's first oil exports in 1958, also from this same region. It came from the eastern region. So when people say oil belongs to everyone equally, it becomes a political argument. When they also say the Igbos are after your oil, they forget that it was the Igbos that first discovered oil in their place. Historically, the oil story started in the east. Any discussion about oil and its discovery was in the eastern region of Nigeria, the fastest developing region in Africa. The East didn't just wait for oil to come before they started developing. They had the human resources. They were investing heavily in human capital development. By the early 1960s, the eastern region had achieved things that were rare, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa. You will think these things are just me saying until I start reeling out the facts. And the facts also made themselves very bare when Nigeria decided to engage this eastern region in what is now described as Nigeria's genocidal war against the Igbo that happened between 1967 and 1970. There, the ingenuity of this Igbo, the eastern region, came to the fore. Remember, the eastern region did not only comprise of Igbo people. There were still other tribes who are not really Igbo, but they were in the eastern region. I want to state that fact very categorically so that we don't get any misconception. Let's list a few of the developments in the southeast slowly. The University of Nigeria, and the only University of Nigeria today, is in Igbo land. The University of Nigeria, Nsukka, Africa's first indigenous university, is located in Igbo land. Television station started in Igbo land. Cement factories, glass ceramics, industries like industrial estates, regional developments, transportation companies like those owned by Loyes Ojukwu. Massive investments were in the southeast. It wasn't accidental. The eastern region had a very clear roadmap and philosophy. Their own was develop the people and development will flow. They were investing massively in human capital development. They were developing their people, bringing in compulsory education programs that I have seen coming up today. They were making education of their people very, very compulsory and ensuring that development spread to every part of the eastern region. Oil was later then discovered inside a system that already had a structure for development. That is a crucial point, and I want to state it very clearly. Oil didn't create eastern region development. Oil arrived and met the development that already had a structure. So think about this for a moment, my brothers and sisters. Just take time to think about it. A region highly educated, industrializing rapidly on its own, discovering oil, already planning long-term growth of itself and its people. On paper, this should have been a success story compared to places like South Korea, Malaysia, and the rest. This should have been a very successful story, but history had other plans. And before I go further, I want you to see something.
New bridges provide links that weld distant areas together. The people now look to these rivers for irrigation and hydroelectric development, as well as for drinking water and swimming holes. Business and secretarial schools help the people of the eastern region to rush to meet the business world more quickly than the Islamic north. Oil was recently discovered in the east. Nigerians are developing their industry with their own research methods and their own hands. This eastern region of Nigeria is the only coal-producing area in all of West Africa. Eastern Nigerians utilize tribal and family groups to form trading firms and for purposes other than those for which they were originally intended. These family units become especially important in the absence of specialized groups such as those that Islam affords the North. Also, unlike the North, the Easterners eat roots, yams, and cassava. The higher rainfall in the east and west does not permit grain to ripen or cattle to thrive. The people in the east and west use palm oil for cooking, rather than peanut oil, which is used in the north. Some palm kernels are locally processed, many more are exported. This region of Nigeria has long been the world's major source of palm oil. The first recorded shipment of oil of palm was in 1588, when a few casks were carried to England by a Captain Webb. International trade has multiplied since the establishment of the Nigerian National Shipping Line in 1959. Just a few hundred feet from the hustle of Port Harcourt, the only harbor in the eastern region, the coast lies hidden in gnarled mangrove swamps.
You have just seen the evidence, my dear brothers and sisters. Not opinions, not social media arguments, but documented history. The eastern region was not just waiting to be saved by oil. It was already building itself. It was already developing at its pace. And this is where the narrative often becomes very uncomfortable. Nobody wants to let you know that oil was first discovered in eastern region. Nobody wants to tell you that this eastern region they are talking about, that Imo State has the largest gas deposit in all of Africa. Nobody wants to tell you that. They want to let you know that Igbos are after your oil. They are coming to take your oil. Oh, they don't have land. Oh, they don't have resources in their place. Yes, the eastern region is replete with both human and natural resources. Don't confuse yourself by thinking that Igbo don't have resources. That is why they are migrating out of their place. No, they do. They have enormous deposits of both human and natural resources. And oil was first discovered in eastern region, not in the places you are looking at today, not in the places you are thinking they are today. And when they had this oil, they prioritized human development first. The oil came, the oil discovery met already existing structure of human capital development policies. I know this makes the narrative very uncomfortable for a lot of people, because if the eastern region was developing fastest before oil, then oil wasn't the problem at all. Oil was not the problem. Governance was. Somebody somewhere spotted that Ndi Igbo, if they continue this way, if they continue their development rapidly, if all the regions are allowed to develop at their own pace, this particular region will outdevelop other regions. This particular region will supply human capital to lead or govern other regions. So they said, no, we have to stop this region. The 1967 to 1970 genocidal war against Ndi Igbo was not just provoked by obeying or not obeying the Aburi Accord. It was orchestrated to annihilate Ndi Igbo. Why? Because they have seen these projections. They are out there. There are documentaries out there. And thankfully, these documentaries are older than the genocidal war itself. Older than the 1960 independence, so that you can attest to its authenticity. That Ndi Igbo were already outdeveloping other regions in Africa before they decided to halt its development. If you think this is a propaganda, or what do you people like to call it? They say it's conspiracy theory, yes. If you think it is a conspiracy theory, let me ask you as Onyi Igbo. After the genocidal war against Ndi Igbo, was there any sort of program to either rebuild or do any sort of reorientation to reintegrate the people who suffer from the trauma of the 3-year war against this region? Remember why there was war going on in the eastern region? Other regions were living their lives. Schools were open in Lagos. People were going about their normal businesses. Even Gowon got married. And there was war going on in this part of the country, as it was. So if you think this is a conspiracy theory, please rise above that and think. Somebody somewhere halted, and they are still halting the development of this region. Otherwise, why will it be that if why?
The Nigerian Civil War was planned on the campus of the University of Ibadan. Somebody has to write a book on that, in which the Vice Chancellor, a prominent historian, you already know I'm talking about, was also using his house to frame the project of the Civil War. You understand? And I'm not criticizing him, because when you cut segments of a conversation, it becomes a problem to those who are interpreting it. I'm not criticizing him. The Nigerian Civil War was led by an educated person who trained in England, one of the very first to have a degree to join the Nigerian army. The debates about Ironsi was framed for him by those who went to school on a unitary government.
Why? Because of the fear that these people, if they start back again to develop, they will outgrow. This is why I applaud the inauguration of the Southeast Development Commission, but I'm advising Okoli, or what is his name, who is the MD of Southeast Development Commission, SEDC, to please stop the conferences and spark up massive industrialization and educational policy that was already in place before Nigeria came and happened to Ndi Igbo. It is very clear. After 1967, everything changed. Everything totally changed for Ndi Igbo. The direction of Ndi Igbo changed. The eastern region was dismantled. States were created. Control of resources shifted. Long-term regional development planning collapsed because the places that were Igbo were no longer Igbo land anymore. The places that were Southeast region were no longer Southeast region. Remarkably, Oloibiri, where that oil was discovered, was carved into River State, and River State was created. Think about all these things. This is why I am very, very glad and happy that we have such a platform where we can dissect history. The aim of creating River State was to carve out Port Harcourt and Oloibiri away from Igbo land, away from the eastern region, so that the eastern region can no longer have resources. If Gowon also knew that there will be this enormous deposit of mineral resources in Imo State, he will carve Imo State into River State. That was the extent of desperation of Britain and Gowon to subdue and annihilate Ndi Igbo. So while the oil remained, the structure was already dismantled. The structure did not stay. And that's the lesson many countries still refuse to learn. Many countries build their hopes on oil and then dismantle the development structure that was created. Resources don't develop nations. Resources can never develop nations. It is systems and policies that develop a nation. A nation must have a system, a policy, and then be willing to work diligently with commitment towards actualizing that policy. There was a policy and a system in the Southeast that was driving its development until it was halted by Nigeria. It is still being halted today by Nigeria. If anything good will ever want to come to the South, it will be truncated by Nigeria. This is why you see people dissatisfied. They say we don't want to be part of the country, and you think because they don't have sense. It is people who have studied history. And this is where the narrative often becomes uncomfortable, very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Because if the eastern region was developing fastest before oil, then oil wasn't the magic ingredient. Governance was. It showed that there was absolutely good governance, intentional governance in the Southeast. And that was what drove development. It wasn't oil. Before oil ever came, the Southeast had a development plan. When someone asks, where was oil first discovered in West Africa? The answer is very simple. Oloibiri, eastern region of Nigeria. That was where oil was first discovered in commercial quantity in the whole of West Africa. Or when someone asks which region was developing fastest as at the time, the answer again is very simple. The fastest developing region in the whole of Africa, not West Africa this time, was the eastern region of Nigeria. You heard that in the documentary. History has shown and history has answered. The eastern region proved that Africa could rise, not because of oil, but because of people, planning, and purposeful leadership. That was what was offered in the eastern region. And if this happened once, believe me, it can happen again. Oil was discovered in the eastern region, but development had already begun. This has to be stated emphatically and clearly